I think it's of course the standards in terms of the criteria and meeting global standard. Fees, of course, is one thing.
Fees are important.
I mean, I think, durability is super important, right? We don't want to be replacing after 3, 4, 5 years where we just haven't used our smarts to sort of think about buildability or bringing in the right materials.
We just take elements and the feeling and, just certain accents from the magazine and then translate that into the building.
We do like material control from the beginning, and then we do inspections, regular inspection meetings and everything, and audits. We do audits as well as we do testing, commissioning.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another podcast from Geonet Property and Finance Group. My name is Chad Egan and I'm CEO. And today we're going to talk about the construction of the ELLE Resort Beach Club. A lot of our investors want to know the intricate details of how we're going to pull off this project. So we thought, what better way to bring all the brains of the project together in one room. So I have with me Marc Schicker, Head of Developments for Geonet. I have with me Charlie, CEO of Inspiral. And I have Nielman, manager of Colliers, which is our construction management company. Yeah. So to get through this, we've got a few questions that we're going to ask our panel to help give comfort to our investors that the project's going to be delivered on time to specifications, and it's going to last the test of time. That's the most important part as well. So Nielman, if I can ask you a few things about Colliers, right? The reason that we chose Colliers is because you have a lot of experience in Asia Pacific building a lot of big projects. And what's important to investors or our investors throughout Asia Pacific is building to budget and building to timeframes. Yeah. Because obviously everyone's working towards getting the beach club operational. So what sort of techniques are you going to be using to ensure that we keep the time frames and to budgets?
Timeliness and budgets are always front of mind for investors, and rightly so. The key is to establish clarity from the outset, aligning all stakeholders on scope, deliverables, and critical milestones. Once that foundation is set, then discipline and monitoring become crucial. At Colliers, we use combination of program management tools and also transparent reporting systems.
One of the great things when we were going through, do we work with Colliers or not, was the software that you guys have built internally, which is only specific to Indonesia. So our investors are actually going to be able to log in and see where the construction milestones have been completed. That's a pretty amazing tool for investors to have that much look through and understanding of where the project is heading as well, right? So that must make it easy for you to manage all of the teams.
Absolutely right. So we are very transparent for reporting so that also investors can see how the project flows and also how they budget being managed, and as well as how we overcome any coming issues.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like Bali, well, they say Bali is difficult to build in, but we've done a lot of developments in Australia in the past as well, and Bali we can work a site a lot more. We've got a lot more workers in our pool out of Indonesia. We're in over 250 million population, so we don't have those type of constraints. But what about training? Tell me a little bit more about training of your work staff, because you're going to have about 20 in your team that will be managing the construction.
Yeah,
right?
Almost 20 people in my team.
Yeah,
exactly. So, of course, this is about pairing international standards and also the local Balinese context and local contractors as well. So, of course, in this scale of project, the project will be quite challenging.
Well, let's be honest. Charlie hasn't given you an easy thing to build, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting actually because we're talking about software as well, and also I think this is one of the first times we've done a project where all consultants are using BIM.
Yeah.
And
So can you explain BIM? Because I heard about BIM recently.
sure,
I think it's quite
so building information management.
Yeah.
So we've used this kind of software for a long time, just because it helps to deliver drawings. It mitigates, clashes or things that are inconsistent. But most of the time, structural engineers and mechanical engineers won't be using any of this kind of software. So it's great. We've got a team where everyone is using that, so we can all work from the same model. Everything's in the same place, and it just makes everything so much smoother.
Yeah, right.
Particularly with your difficult 3D design, right? So
Amazing design.
So we made sure that, the structural and the MEP consultants were using BIM exactly to work through the 3D challenges set by Inspiral. So yeah, it's a good first step, I think.
Nielman, back to you again. I want to talk about the Colliers selection process. In fact, you put in front of us the interior designers, right? And I think who you've chosen, or the team have chosen the interior designers for the beach club, landscape gardeners, and there's multiple interior designers between the beach club hotel, the beach club, and the resort side hotel. What are the type of things that you're looking for when you're bringing in interior designers from a global perspective? I see there was a 95% Colliers tick off. So walk me through that. Tell the investors a little bit about the Colliers selection process.
Yeah, we are going through a stringent procurement process. We start from not only seeing the cost or the fees. It is important, but the most important is the company background, their historical or their projects, earlier projects, and also how they can comply with international standards, such as awareness of safety in design, and also they can do all of the design based on standards, and as well as the overall technical oversight, right? And then we oversee the commercial oversight after that. And once we have the right consultant to work with that can bring those values, that they are also willing to be pairing to the local contractors, let's say, and transfer of knowledge, then I think we will choose. We know how which one.
It's a rigorous process that they have to go through to get the Colliers stamp
approval.
Right.
Just to add to that, Chad and Nielman, I think we did go out to global firms, right? And one of those prerequisites was to have good hospitality background, right? Whether it's beach club or whether it's luxury resort. And we wanted to bring people that were not necessarily the usual suspects in Asia, right? We wanted to bring somebody that has great capability in beach clubs around the world that could read, sort of define what the ELLE Beach Club and Resort's going to be, right? And so, but also one of the requirements was that they had some knowledge or expertise on the ground here as well to help source materials, etc. Just to make sure that they're not specifying material that is being imported from Italy, for example, and we can't source it here in Indonesia, right? So I think it's of course the standards in terms of the criteria and meeting global standards, and fees of course is one thing, but
fees are important.
Sitting on the development side, but yeah, I mean, we just wanted to make sure that we're bringing in the right experts from all around the world.
And that's interesting, Mark, as well, because what you're talking about is having local experts in Bali. But if we're developing, in next year, and we'll give you a little break as head of developments, not next year, but in the coming years, when we look at other areas, when we look at ELLE and we look at other areas, we will have to get new interior designers and everything that match that local market. So what we've chosen now matches the local market, and to your point, can source products in Indonesia and be familiar with the Bali standards of building as well.
Right.
Yeah.
The Balinese context.
So yeah. Charlie, your design, I mean, being out there myself and speaking with investors on investor nights and been touring Asia Pacific and showing people our project, there's a lot of wow factor in what you've built. The questions that are coming back are about, what is the exoskeleton? How are we going to build this? Because it's an incredible look and feel.
Yeah, and I think those questions are kind of very valid, especially if you're doing something which is quite different to what people expect or what people are used to. Always, anything where there's a degree of complexity, the first question is, how the hell do you do it?
Yes.
I think part of the trick of design is actually doing things in a way that's the framework and the logic is all there following a set, typical understanding, but then the kind of dressing up or, where the gestures of the design are allowed, that's where the complexity can happen. And it's done in a very kind of logical process, but you just build up on it, layers and layers, until it looks like something where, there's an intrigue and there's questioning and, but, most of the materials we're using are typical building materials, especially from Indonesia.
Yeah.
Then we bring in other elements as well, some recycled timbers or structurally insulated panels or bamboo, to create some of these wavy shapes, not for the material's sake, but actually for the sake of being able to produce and build these kind of things efficiently and in a way that is really integral to the design.
And it's interesting, Charlie, because we were working on this before we started working with ELLE, and your design was absolutely incredible. And then all of a sudden ELLE came along and we're like, what's that it was built for it, right? Because the world's first ELLE Resort and Beach Club, there's only ever going to be one. Then they match, I think, from what you would expect for ELLE from a global retail real estate, red carpet meets real estate, works so well with your design. What's your biggest challenges from a design perspective? Would you say?
Me?
To make yes.
I think trying to make his design work. So yeah, it is a challenging site, right?
Yep.
It's quite a narrow site, 50-meter wide beachfront, but I think because we want to really maximize the use of the site, and so we've got these terrace pools, which is quite cool. So sight lines is really important. From the beach club, and then the suites at the back, we decided to make those suites at the back the sort of the most premium suites. So the great thing that I like particularly about the beach club and the suites is it's all integrated, right? You can spend the whole day there, you can check in, there's the VIP areas, there's the F&B, and then you got the suites at the back. So and we've got the nightclub in the lower level as well. So you can literally have your breakfast right through to the early hours of the morning.
Of the morning, right?
And then you go back to your guest room, right, and sleep the early hours of the morning. So
and that was interesting too, Marc, when we were designing that recently, or making some of the adaptations to it. A lot of that had come from all the demands or potential bookings for weddings that were coming to us before it was even built, right? So you'd done some restructuring,
yes,
so we could make VIP sections of the F&B and the restaurant upstairs.
Correct. So we've got exclusive VIP entrance up to the VIP lounge, and so we sort of flipped things around. We work with Charlie and his team just to sort of get those best views and the sunset, and have these areas that can be exclusive and closed off for certain private events. So I think that's been good, actually, just to work through those operational challenges and understanding who the target audiences are as well.
Yeah. And I guess, when the project went out to market, because of ELLE, because of some of the shows we've done recently, even in Singapore, we were at the Ultralux event, where some of the most exquisite jewelry designers in the world were saying, wow, we're going to be able to come into this retail space and have pop-ups. So we expanded the retail space to suit that because again, we're getting those inquiries. What's it going to cost for me as a vendor to come to the ELLE Resort and Beach Club when it opens?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we arrive now at the beach club, you'll literally sort of walk through this little retail precinct, right? And which is pretty cool. And then when people leave as well, they also walk through the retail. So I think Charlie and the team have come up with a good redesign of that arrival area where it's quite, it becomes a little plaza area where you arrive, you either go VIP, you go through the retail up to the beach club, or in the evening you go down to the nightclub. So I think it's going to be quite a nice, interesting arrival experience.
And there's a lot of talk about longevity of a building. And again, maybe this is for yourself, Charlie and Marc. The longevity of a building, particularly because we're on a 50-year lease, and we've got the first right of refusal for extension. So it's a generational investment product, which is exciting. How do we maintain the structural integrity, the look and the feel for decades to come?
I think the main thing is, when what you put into the building, and especially in terms of its costs, if you specify materials that will have a good lifetime, and also just even the little things, good waterproofing, the hardware, the types of glass, the types of products you use on coating materials, these are quite often a lot of the things that people actually, don't invest on so much in projects, and that's when you see things
degrade quickly. Because obviously we are absolute beachfront, literally one of the last plots of land left in Seminyak, Bali, fringes right onto the W Resort. All of them, the beachfront resorts, have incredible success, because it's all about location from that perspective. But it also comes with its challenges, building right next to the beach, right?
It does. It does. I mean, I think, durability is super important, right? We don't want to be replacing after 3, 4, 5 years where we just haven't used our smarts to sort of think about buildability or bringing in the right materials. And we don't want to have big engineering teams that are always maintaining things all the time as well, right? So there's got to be a careful balance, because we are delivering a luxury resort at the same time. So we're not building a prison, for example. We are building a luxury...
Keep the guests in.
And it is a luxury experience, right? We want it to be a memorable experience, but fabrics, outdoor fabrics is really important, making sure that because there's going to be lots of day beds, for example, at the beach club, making sure that they're, we can maintain them, but we're using the right product in the first place, right? And again, just thinking about those flow of traffic and where people circulate, wet areas and dry areas and all of those sort of things, we just need to think through. So,
so you speak with a lot of expertise, Marc, hence you're head of development. But I guess you've been doing this for a long time. There's working with architects, working with international project managers to deliver luxury hotels. Give us a little bit of a background. You've done Six Senses before.
I'm currently working with on a project in Bangkok with Six Senses, but I was with IHG for 12 years. And before that, I was working with architectural firms in Singapore, international architectural firms. So I've been in Asia for 20 years. So yes, been fortunate.
And a local Bali resident now.
Yes, of course. But fortunate to have worked on some great hotel resort projects, or hotels and resorts across the region, Thailand, all across Southeast Asia, Japan, Asia Pacific. So I love it. I mean, it's sort of in my blood now, is sort of living and breathing hotels. I've done all other parts I've done residential and commercial before, but I sort of fell in love with hospitality 20 years ago, and I think Asia's the center of the universe in terms of hospitality. And
Yeah, it's not like you go into, like we see some, and particularly Bali as well. He's got some of the most incredible hotels, I think, on the planet. And when you go out and explore the world, but then you come back to Bali and you stay at the Kempinski or Sofitel in, Nusa Dua beachfront. We have so many incredible hotels in Bali, the way they build them.
we do.
So we've got a lot to keep up to.
We do.
With this.
We do. I mean, the competition is high, right?
Yes.
And so the bar is set, and we need to be competitive with that competition, of course. And so, yeah, it's working with the designers, and like I said, bringing in the expertise from around the globe, that we're not just using the usual suspects.
Yes.
That we are sort of trying to redefine. And so Charlie's architecture is the first part of that, and bringing in good project managers, of course, but designers, lighting experts, landscape consultants.
I think our landscape consultant was actually working on the W as well.
Yes, so the landscape designer, he's sort of well regarded, been in the game a long time, and he's going to be fabulous in bringing his expertise to the project. So we're really looking forward to working.
There's a lot of experience. And then tell me, Charlie, an architect, to come up with the design that you've come up with, how do you feel about working with ELLE on this?
I think it's nice because actually it's because it's something new, it's something fresh. You can bring a new perspective to it, and they're open to it. So which is different from a lot of the typical brands that have a very strict brand guideline where it has to follow a certain way. Whereas here, they want to be as contemporary, and they're challenging the market as well. So yeah, it's nice. Everyone knows what ELLE is, right? It's actually part of our lives. It's been around for so long, but it's the first time they've actually come into this kind of world. So it's nice to translate that. So that we just take elements and the feeling and just certain accents from the magazine and then translate that into the building. So example would be the verticality of the facade, right? We've got these kind of lines, and that almost reflects a little bit of kind of that elegance with the font and the lettering of the logo. So we kind of brought that in, and then just the little touches of it's very textural. Right, so we brought a lot of texture, but at that same time, there's that refinement with and the reflection and that sense of high quality, those kind of brassy kind of finishes and things like that. So, yeah, it's a nice opportunity to play with that.
Were you nervous at the start when it became ELLE, thinking there was going to be so much control being set down by them? But in the end, they want subtleties, right? So that's been easy for us to work with such an incredible global brand. I mean, even we talk about the history of ELLE, 80 years as a fashion icon, bigger than all of them combined, right? But there's ELLE Miami, not us, but ELLE Miami, ELLE Dubai, and the existing hotels that are out there, and they're all very unique from their own architects. So I think it was very, very good that they didn't impose the type of regulation, the type of design constraints, I guess, on you guys.
And I think you noticed some of these other ones that they're doing, it's quite contextual. So that, for example, the one in Miami looks like it should be in Miami.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so here we can bring that kind of that tropical aspect to it as well. So that, that really, if it does, it's a take on that feeling that you have in Bali, but, that kind of sophistication, the world traveler coming to Bali and experience tropicality in that kind of,
the new generation of Bali hotels.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's bring it back to you, Nielman. You're in charge of a lot. Yeah. Execution. Yeah. We've got the amazing plans, but you're in charge of a lot of contractors. Yeah. So talk me through your quality control measures. How do you ensure that what has been designed is actually going to go into the project? And how do you execute upon that?
Sure, thank you. So one of the challenges is how we bring the thinking from the architect and also the brand flow through this design, through the detail, right? So what we are going to do is always put quality control up front during the process, not look after it, not after it, but during the process. So we do like material control from the beginning, and then we do inspections, regular inspection meetings and everything, and audits. We do audits as well as we do testing, commissioning. Maybe not everyone aware that in testing commissioning, we usually have like 5 levels of testing commissioning. Let's say the simple is like this. The example is starting from the manufacturer, we do commissioning. We inspect everything.
Inspect the factory where the products come from.
Not only the factory, but also the product itself, whether it is aligning with the specification, according to specification, or its performance and everything. And then up to the delivery to the site, at construction site, that's right. And we do as well as testing, let's say genset, UPS, or anything, usually the MEP items imported, let's say. For those items, we test how it performs on site and up to how they can integrate to the whole system before we are rolling them out at scale.
And so then talk to me about execution as well. So your team have already moved in upstairs, which is great.
Sure.
And it's really great for our investors too. We probably get about 40 investors from Australia and throughout Asia Pacific that are coming through our offices and seeing the operation. And then they'll go down on site as well. So investors are loving being able to come and see that you guys are here embedded into the organization with us. So that's here in the office. But then what about, as we finish the demolition process and, we're excavating and, building the project, how many people will you have down on site, on a construction site?
For about almost around 20 people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 20 people.
20 people just looking after the project and making sure everyone's doing the right thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because we need to ensure everything goes right, starting from the structure, the civil structure architectural, and also the MEP, firefighting system, and also the interior, F&B interior, back of house, and everything. Need to manage everything on this project to the right quality.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so we talk about quality, and we talk about one of the most important words that when we're building today, we talk about sustainability. Yeah. What are the actions? What are we doing on this project to ensure right use of materials, sustainability, and reducing our footprint on the local environment?
Yeah, Charlie.
And then, they're looking. I find even the words sustainable building almost like a contradiction to normal building, right? I think good building should be sustainable. That's just one of the many factors. So it should be something that's separated. But you look at it from many different angles as you approach it. So a lot of it's about efficiency. Efficiency and everything from just the space management to structural efficiency. And efficiency means then we can reduce the amount of materials, hence then carbon footprint. And then that leads on to materials as well. What's the embodied energy in materials? Where are we sourcing it from? Can we source as much local materials as possible?
Yeah, so we're not getting it from across the other side of the world. We haven't got an impact on, delivery from a cost perspective, but also from a carbon footprint perspective too, and supporting the local economy.
Yeah. And then those materials as well, we can start looking at certain materials, especially a lot of the finishes, the cladding elements, how carbon heavy and a lot of these materials, and in the same way balancing up in terms of longevity as well, because that's energy usage. And then how does that then infuse itself into the running of the building in terms of efficiently heating and cooling the building. You know, so you notice a lot of the design, we have like big overhangs for shade, so you know, reducing a lot of the heat that comes into the building, high insulation factors, both thermally and acoustically, and then just looking how each of these materials work together, so then, you know, you don't have to keep layering on extra elements. You know, so if you can use the best combination of materials together, you know, you're going to get something that performs really well, especially in terms of environment and the operations.
Yeah. So I think just as Charlie mentioned, is moving into the operations, right? From an owner's perspective and from an operator's perspective, you're looking at that longevity, right? And so, and the payback and the energy efficiency in the building. And so I think one of the great things that I liked about Charlie's design is the whole, and people often hear this word biophilic design, right? Which is making sure that, you know, you've got those big shading elements, or you've got natural light and natural ventilation coming into spaces, because cooling costs is very, very expensive. And so if we can have more natural ventilation where, you know, you've got cross flow of ventilation through corridors and things, that helps everybody. It's a win-win. So I think that's really important. And then from a cooling, of course, if you're in your guest room, you want to be able to come in from a hot day and be cool at night and be able to control the temperature. So there are different ways nowadays where we have occupancy sensors. So gone are the days where you put the key card in and leave it in there, and your room's running at 17 degrees all day long, and the operations team are pulling their hair out because the energy cost is going skyrocketing. So nowadays there's sensors, so when you leave the room, the AC doesn't stop, but it drops back to a sort of a 25 degrees, so it keeps still air circulating through the room, but it really helps from an energy management point of view. So that controls the lighting, it controls the AC, we can control the motorized drapes on the, so when you leave the room, the drapes close, so the heat gain on the room is a lot less. So all of these things really play a part in that embodied carbon, but also the operational carbon footprint, because we're looking at it from a 30, 40, 50 years beyond, right? So I think all of those,
I think as well, Marc, we've spoken about this, but I'd like to maybe touch on a little bit further, where we're talking about the reduction of single-use plastics as well, which of course that's going to be through from, you know, F&B throughout all of the venues, throughout serving of drinks at the beach club, but even down into the hotels. Each of the foyers are going to have centralized water filtration.
Correct. So we're going to do a
refill, ELLE branded cups, but
correct. So we will have we'll have little bottling stations, sort of along the corridors, right? And so people can go and fill their own bottles, and then we'll have also a central bottling plant as well. So for the F&B outlets, for example, there'll all be filtered water, so zero plastics, gone, and not just tiny little bottles as well, because that also comes with, you know, how do we recycle those? And you got to have glass crushers and all that sort of thing. So a water bottling plant, we wash the bottles through a proper process, and then reuse those glass bottles, cap them, and all that sort of thing. So I think that's,
and then of course the ELLE branded containers that can go around, people can take home with them, and talk about the world famous ELLE Beach Club and Resort.
Exactly.
They go home.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good. So there's a lot of experience in this room from Colliers, from Charlie and his team that have not, I mean, you've built these ones before. This one's a lot cooler, obviously. And Marc, your expertise in building hotels throughout Asia Pacific, and then again being on the ground here in Bali. I love that again that our investors can come here and see everybody in action. You know, it's an open book as far as we're concerned. Right. In fact, we're that much of an open book. In the coming weeks, we open up our retail investment fund. So we put all this information out to our investors so they feel comfortable in their purchase, feel comfortable with who the team is as well. Yeah, so as I was saying, it's an open book from our perspective, and important for investors to know who's the team behind the project and the amazing skill sets that we've been able to put together as an organisation. So, gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to come in and talk a little bit more about the project. We'll ask you in a couple more months to come back and share about the project updates and what have you. But Marc, Charlie, Nielman, thank you so much for spending the time with us today. Again, my name is Chad Egan. I'm CEO of Geonet Property and Finance Group. Thanks for tuning in and learning a little bit more about how the ELLE Resort and Beach Club is going to be one of the most pioneering projects and the very first ELLE Resort and Beach Club in Bali and Seminyak. Thanks for tuning in. Stay and keep following for more content. Don't forget to subscribe on the buttons below. Thanks very much for your time.